In today's society, we have forgotten how to laugh. Apparently, in the 1950s, people used to laugh 18 minutes a day. But nowadays, most of us seem to laugh not more than 6 minutes a day. And the question is, why? Well, easy guess, stress. Living in a fast-paced society brings anxiety and stress along with it, especially with the congested roads, traffic. Cities nowadays are often overcrowded, and it's quite difficult but not impossible to find some peace and quiet. And another point, family breakups, which tend to be quite high. And other points which you will find in today's reading text entitled Why Laughter Truly is the Best Medicine, which means that laughter makes you physically good and it helps to de-stress and to relax and enjoy yourself. So this brings us to today's topic, summaries. We're summarizing all the time in our daily lives. Maybe we are summarizing a movie plotline to a friend, or maybe a classmate has missed a class and we are summarizing the lesson. Or maybe we are on Facebook chatting away with our friends and we're telling someone who wasn't there with us last Friday and we're telling him what we did. At other times, however, we have to summarize for our exam. And a lot of students tend to find summaries a bit difficult. In this video, I will be giving you some tips on how to write a good, successful summary. Now, there are 4 things that you should keep in mind. Number 1, read and reread the passage very carefully. Make sure that you understand the passage. And when you are writing your summary, the summary needs to be clear to someone who has not read, who has not heard, or not seen the original material. 2, find and only write down the main ideas. There is no need for detail, numbers, dates, or other specific information. We just want to take the gist, the main points of the passage or whatever you are asked to write a summary about. 3, put the main points in your own words. So this means that we are not going to copy and paste from the text, or we copy a sentence and we just change a word here or there, or we quote directly from the text, but we're going to write it in our own words to the best of our abilities. And finally, remain objective. What does this mean? It means that we are not going to write down our opinion in a summary, but we're going to write down, ideally chronologically, which means in the order that the information is presented in the original passage. So the first stage is to make sure that you understand the passage that needs to be summarized. Read it 2 or 3 times before even picking up your pen. I know that a lot of you may want to start writing immediately, thinking that maybe you're going to save time if you start writing down without actually planning what you're going to write. And that's not a good way to go about it. On your first reading, you may find that you come across some words which you don't know what they mean. When or if this happens, don't panic. After a couple more readings, you will eventually be able to understand what the writer is saying, even though there may be some words here or there which you don't fully understand, or you may not know what they mean at all. Try to look at the context and try to understand what the writer is saying from the context of the passage. Let's have a look at an example. I'm going to read out as part of a sentence, And I'd like you to explain in your own words what is meant by this. You're going to rewrite this. Laughter has a major role to play in the unfolding of our potential. Now pay particular attention to the words which are underlined. An example of how we can rewrite this sentence is the following. Laughter holds or laughter has an important part to help us develop our abilities, or laughter has a fundamental or a predominant part to help us give our best. So instead of major role, we said an important part or a fundamental part. And instead of in the unfolding of our potential, we said to develop our abilities or to give our best. Now on the second reading, you should keep in mind now the task at hand, and you should be focusing your reading on it. So if you have to summarize parts of the text in particular, not the entire text, then focus more on that part and look at the question. What are you being asked to do? Now, if you're going for a third reading, you could start taking down some notes that will eventually help you with the summary. So there are two ways how to go about writing the first draft of your summary. You can either include all the major details, perhaps adding some extra stuff, and then you start cutting down to what is not necessary. Again, look at the question title and make sure that you're focused, that you're not getting out of point. Otherwise, another way to go about it is to just include the very brief details, and then you start adding information that is needed as you go along. So you start building up to the word limit. It's really a matter of preference. Maybe you can experiment with these two techniques and see which technique suits you better. Okay, so far this was mostly me talking in this video, which should give you the fundamental points that you need to keep in mind while writing a summary, but you do need to practice a lot. Maybe you can try out a piece from your favorite book or magazine, a newspaper article, anything that you enjoy reading, and write a summary of that text. If it's a long article, maybe just select 1 or 2 paragraphs and try to get the main ideas that were stated in the text. If you don't want to write it down, just tell it to someone, to a friend, to your sister, brother, mother, whatever. So tell them the main points of the text that you have read. Now, before you move on to the practice task, which we have at the end of this lesson, we're going to go over some main points that we've discussed in this class. Number 1, and this is very important, you must take the word limit very seriously, especially when it comes to summaries. The examiners are instructed to count the words in every summary, and you will be marked down if you are over the word limit. So you should count your word total carefully and cut out excess words, extra words if necessary. Meanwhile, if you are many words under the limit, it could mean that you have left out some very important points. So it would be ideal to expand your summary, going back to the original passage and add any points which are useful that you may have left out. 4 things to avoid, or what we can call the pitfalls of summary writing. So 4 things that you should never do when writing down summaries. Number 1, never repeat ideas. Even if these ideas are repeated in different words in the passage. Avoid quotes and copying and pasting directly from the text, which brings us to the second point. Write in your own words. To be able to do this, you need to understand the text. Never add ideas of your own which do not appear in the text. The summary should remain objective meaning it should contain no personal opinion. 3. Avoid phrases like the writer begins this passage by saying that those are extra words, or in addition to this, he also moves on to those are extra words, redundant words, which you don't need in a summary. Be straightforward, be concise, use short and direct summaries, and write your summary as if it's an original piece of work. And finally, remember, a summary needs to be written in proper formal English. So avoid using abbreviations like it's instead of the full form it is. And the grammar is still very important. So don't write the symbol for the ampersand instead of and you need to write in continuous, meaning grammatically correct English. Even though it's a summary, you're not going to save up on words by not writing appropriately. Okay, I know I said we need to keep in mind 4 points, but I'm going to add one extra point. And that is check your work very, very carefully. And this applies to all forms of writing that you have in your examination. So check for the spelling, the punctuation, the grammar, and remember that technical accuracy, meaning that you write in good standard English, will affect your total mark. So do spend the last 6 to 10 minutes, if possible, at the end, to go through the paper, especially the written components, such as the essay and the summary, and watch out for these mechanical errors, meaning the spelling, punctuation, grammar, and this could save you a lot of marks. Now you can move on to the practice task, which you can download, read through the passage, follow the points and the instructions that I have given you in this lesson, and you have a sample summary at the end to compare what you have written with that provided. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope that you have found this lesson useful, and I will see you very soon.